Okay, hi all. As requested today, I'm just going to go through suspense accounts from two question ones. So from the, not suspense accounts, but the suspense part of the question one. So first one's going to be 2011 because that's the question we were doing in class today. And then I'll look at the 2018 because that's a fairly recent one we were doing also. So first of all, then, for 2011, we see that it's the selling expenses that include suspense, which are 108,000. So what I've done first of all is I've just created a little pretend trial balance here. And if you can imagine that this is a trial balance with lots of different entries here for different things, and it balances perfectly, 3 million total on the debit side, 3 million total on the credit side. Okay, and one of the items in there is this selling expenses including suspense, 108,000. So I'm just going to put that in first. Selling expenses. And it's an expense, so it goes on the debit side, as we can see from the question. 108,000. Okay, so the next thing is we must see what caused this suspense account to be opened. Where do we see? Okay, part 4. The suspense figure arises as a result of discount received, €300, entered only in the creditor's account. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, discount received, when it happens, when you receive a discount, there are two ledger accounts which are affected. One is the creditor's account, because the creditors are those people that you owe money to, and if you receive a discount, it reduces the amount of money that you owe, so your creditor's account goes down. And the other account that's affected is your discount received account. So every time you receive another discount, your discount received account goes up. So in this case it says the discount received, €300, was entered only in the creditor's account. So they did the right thing in the creditor's account, but they didn't enter anything in the discount received account. Okay, so we're going to fix that now here in our pretend trial balance. So discount received. So discount received is a gain, it's regarded as, and gains, as they increase, you put them on the credit side. So what should have happened with that discount received is that €300, it should have increased the amount of your discount received account. It should have gone on the credit side. So we are missing an extra €300 here. So if we want to fix that, all we have to do is put €300 in here. And we saw later on in the question how this discount net 2,000, it was at 2,000 already, we'll call it discount received, and you had to add another 3,000 or 300 to it rather to make it 2,300. So we saw that earlier, and now we're doing the actual adding 300 onto the discount received. We just haven't put in the original figure of 2,000 here, we're just adding in the 300. So if we add 300 more onto the credit side of this trial balance, though, it will no longer balance. We'll have 300 more here. This will go up to 3,300,000, and this will still be 3 million. So what we have to do is we have to adjust either this side or this side to make it balance again. But since the suspense is included in selling expense, the only thing we're allowed to adjust is this selling expense. So we basically have to decide, do we add 300 or subtract 300 from this to make our trial balance again? Well, I think it's pretty obvious that if you added 300 to this side, bringing this total up, you're going to have to add 300 to this side as well to bring this total up to be the same size, so that it'll both balance again. So plus 300 is the first thing you're going to do there. The second item in here then, suspense figure is as a result of discount received, entered, blah, 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 and the posting of the incorrect figure for debenture interest paid to the interest account. The correct interest was entered in the bank account. So first of all, debenture interest, let's write it in here. Debenture interest. What have we already got for debenture interest paid in here? We've got debenture interest paid for the first 3 months, €1,000. So let's put that in here. That's from the debenture interest account. However, they're telling us here, where is it, that the incorrect figure for debenture interest paid was put in the interest account. So they're telling us that that 1,000 euros is not correct. So how will we figure out what the correct amount should be? Well, we look up here. It's debenture interest for 3 months. So what would debenture interest for 3 months for, well, most specifically for the first 3 months, what ought it be? So there are 9% debentures, including 30,000 issued at this time. So after the first 3 months had ended. And that's 80,000. So for the first 3 months, you had 80 minus these 30. You only had 50,000 debentures for the first 3 months, and then you got this 30,000 more debentures were issued on the 1st of the 4th. So for the first 3 months, you only had 50,000 of debentures. Let's do our workings here. You had 50,000 of debentures. The interest rate on those debentures is 9%. So that would be for a year though. So we want to get 3 months worth. So we're going to multiply that by 3/12. I have to get the calculator out for this. What are we talking about? 50. $1125. So 1125 is the figure that should have gone in here instead of this 1,000. So what we need to do to correct this is we simply need to add on another 125 to make it the correct figure. So plus 125. Now the problem is, again, if I add on 125 onto the debit side here, this side, this total is going to be 125 bigger than this side over here. So again, I have to, the only thing I can adjust to make my balance or my trial balance again is the selling expenses. So what do I have to do to this to make sure that it balances after having added 125 in here? Well, I think it's obvious enough that I can't add on another 125 or else there'll be an extra 250 here compared to this side. I must subtract 125 and then that'll cancel this adding on 125 and everything will remain balanced. So minus 125. And then when I want to figure out what my actual figure for selling expenses is, it's going to be the 108,000 that we started with plus 300, because that's what I've written up here, and take 125, which is the same thing as what? Plus 175, isn't it? So 108,175 is going to be my figure for selling expenses. Okay, that's the first one. Then the second one is 2018. Bear with me there just while I get the, oh yeah, here it is. The question for 2018. Okay, yeah, that'll do. So 2018 again, the suspense was included in factory overheads. I'm just going to write factory overheads, and the factory overheads in our trial balance was 91,400. And on the debit side in the trial balance, because overheads are expenses and expenses go on the debit side. Okay, so how did the suspense occur in this question in 2018? It was in part 3 here. It says the suspense figure arises as a result of discount allowed 600 entered only in the debtor's account. So again, there are 2 accounts that should have been affected when that discount allowed happened. The debtor's account, so the amount of monies owed to you should have gone down if you allowed a discount, and also the discount allowed account should have gone up, because every time you allow an extra discount, that account goes up. Okay? So entered only in the debtor's account means it wasn't entered in the discount allowed account. So we've got to fix that first of all. So we go to discount allowed. And we say that there was 600 euros that should have been entered in discount allowed, and discount allowed is an expense. So there's 600 euros that should have gone on the debit side, because when you increase expenses, you put them into the debit side to increase them. Okay, so in order for this to continue balancing, if we put in an extra 600 in here, and the only thing that we're allowed to adjust to ensure that this continues to balance is the factory overheads, which include the suspense, well, again, you're always just asking yourself, am I adding 600 or subtracting 600 when it's this type of entry? And in this case, there's no point in adding 600, or else I'd have 1,200 more on this side than I had on that side. It must be minus 600. Okay, and Then the second one, this is where it's a little bit different to any of the ones that we'd done previously. Where was it? Oh yeah, credit purchases of raw materials, 6,000 entered on the incorrect side of the creditor account. So again, there are two accounts that are affected when there's credit purchases of raw materials. It's going to be the creditor's account, because if you purchase something on credit, the amount of money you owe is going to go up, so your creditors goes up, and your purchases also goes up. So in this case, it was entered on the incorrect side of the creditor's account. We assume the purchaser's account was okay. So what we need to fix is the creditor's account. And as I said, it's kind of like there's been two mistakes made in one here. Not only did they leave out the 6,000 euros, but they actually then went and put it on the wrong side. So it's almost a double mistake, if you like. So here we go. It was 6,000 entered on the incorrect side of the creditor's account. So when you must think about this, creditors, when you're increasing creditors, you put the entries on the credit side. If you made a credit purchase, then indeed your creditors should be going up. So what you should have done is put 6,000 in here on the credit side. That would have been the correct thing to do, but it says they were entered on the incorrect side of the creditor's account. So 6,000 was put in here. Whoops, that was 60,000. Okay, so the 6,000 in there. So to fix that, first of all, if we want to do that, we've got to take away that 6,000, don't we? We want to remove that 6,000. And to remove that 6,000, it will cause this side to go down by 6,000. And if we want this still to be balanced, well, then we're going to have to add 6,000 onto this. And on the other hand, then, that's removing the mistake we made, but there's a second mistake where we should have put it in the credit side and we didn't. We've got to fix that mistake now, and we need to put the 6,000 in here. But again, if I put 6,000 over in this side and I don't do anything on this side, then the trial balance is going to have one side which is 6,000 greater than the other side. So again, the only thing I'm allowed to adjust to make up for it is the factory overheads. So I have to put another 6,000 in here, which will increase the factory overheads by another 6,000.